just move to our next framework. Uh, See, our transition from a simple professional to a research scholar, it takes quite a lot of changes in us as a researcher. Now we have been writing. It's not like that we will be start writing from today or something like that. So we have got quite a lot of experience in writing the stuff. And while we write very generic things, whether writing an email, writing some kind of proposal to somebody, writing something in a different setup, which are not scientific in nature. So what we do, we tend to write very subjective. As our practice, we do follow that. But there is a very striking difference between the scientific writing and non-scientific writing, what we write for our regular interaction with our colleagues and with our ecosystem. So this cluster framework will help us to understand that what is the basic difference we must keep it in mind while we write for a scientific document and while we just write for non-scientific things. So it's a 7-pointer framework which will help us to understand those things. Let's go one by one, then we'll understand those things. So first pointer of cluster framework is the purpose. So when we write anything as a scientific writing, then we have a very strong purpose behind the scientific documentation. Whether we write for publication or we write as a review paper, there must be a purpose. If we are writing without a purpose, or what we call as research question or major aim, then that cannot be a scientific writing. But in non-scientific writing, there is no purpose, there is no pursuit. It is there to persuade or to entertain. That's all we have to do in non-scientific writing. It could be a fiction, it could be a story, it could be anything which basic aim is to entertain. It can go to anywhere because entertain doesn't require any kind of specific area to get entertained, or uh, persuasion doesn't require a specific way to get persuade into something. But if you look to scientific writing is looking to fulfill or answer certain question, or it will broadly look to a bigger problem and how we are helping to resolve that problem. So it is there. So even if we write a kind of review paper, for example, we write a review paper, and if we are writing without having a very strong purpose behind that or a very strong question to be resolved, then we simply cannot write that very effectively, which should have been. Then for scientific writing, it aspires to resolving a community level problem. All the time we are just, that's the mindset a researcher develops when they get into any kind of research. Research per se, they do not do research out of compulsion or something. There is a burning needs to address a problem very effectively. So it always connected to a community level problem. If it is not there, then it goes without saying developing that scientific writing skill will be somewhere, it will be a problematic thing. And while we do non-scientific writing, we are not actually solving a problem. We are just, write as a kind of requirement, as somebody has said to us to make a email of that kind or write a story out of that. It is not actually any kind of fiction writing. Let's take that example of fiction or anything as a comparison to our scientific writing skill. Then it doesn't solve any problem for that matter. Then for scientific writing, it may also answer to an unanswered question with a logic and evidence. While we do research, research actually sometimes the way we are currently doing a research, I can say with 99% confidence that currently the kind of research we do, if we can have very structured literature review, 99% research currently we are doing is not required at all. Why I am making this statement is that if we do not have a purpose, if we do not solve a problem, then it's already done. There are more than 10,000 papers are being processed on a daily basis in the world. So, and in a area where we are trying to make some kind of impact as a scientific community, those things are already been answered by somebody. You have to go and search for that answer. If that is already answered for a different geography, for a different population, for a different setup. But if we are not having those things in mind, we are not setting up that question properly, then we are only repeating some of the things which has already been done multiple times. We are again repeating that one more time and putting that stuff into our thesis, which doesn't have any value going further. So now it is up to us to decide if we have to add quite a lot of value weightage to our research, or will be just simply go adding one more, you know, time of iteration to that, literature which is already available quite a lot. Now that's the reason, this setting up a purpose, maybe your research may take quite a little longer time, but once you understood the purpose and the problem behind that purpose, it will take you quite far in terms of creating that impact for that community. And as far as non-scientific writing is concerned, there is no purpose at all. So people say, research, those people who are working on research, they get a purpose to live in their life. But most of the time, I feel that research is not taking anywhere. We are just completely confused by taking up these research projects or doing certain kind of doctoral research. It is not taking us anywhere else. So my humble submission to all of you is that please find that purpose, please at least make some impact somewhere, so that as a researcher you can just bring those missing things, and create at least even 1% impact you can bring in your area. That itself will solve the humanity quite a lot. Then we'll have to go to the second one, the language part. Language is another thing which makes a quite strong differentiation between scientific writing and non-scientific writing. Number one, the language we use for scientific writing, it's very, very precise and very, very formal language. However, in non-scientific writing, there is no precision into that, and there is no formal language is being used for that purpose. Then for scientific writing, we use more than 50% technical language related to that particular study area. For example, somebody is doing research in non-communicable disease. So there are technical language related to those non-communicable diseases, lifestyle diseases, or we can talk about hypertension or diabetes mellitus. So if somebody is working on diabetes mellitus, definitely 50% of their language must be around those technical language related to diabetes mellitus. It cannot be other than that. And if you are writing and you are doing research on diabetes mellitus, and your write-up anything in related to your research is not covering 50% technical language related to diabetes mellitus, that means that is not a very good scientific writing. So that means either we are not focused around diabetes mellitus, we are not focused about the problem we are trying to resolve, or we are not focused on those areas where diabetes mellitus is creating lots of problem. Then either if it is not 50% technical language, either we are our focus area is too broad, which may not bring quite desired result to a particular focus area, or we are not at all concerned about that diabetes mellitus, we are doing something else. And in non-scientific writing, it goes without saying we are not at all bothered about any technical language, because we are neither focused nor we are looking for any kind of solution for that matter. Then in scientific writing, we absolutely avoid any percentage of ambiguity in the mind of the reader. What is ambiguity here? As I said, scientific writing, science is behind that. Non-scientific writing, fiction or something else is there. So what makes the ambiguity makes more striking is the level of interpretation. If it is scientific writing, anybody who reads, the interpretation remains the same for all the people. If you read it, I read it, both of us will be interpreting those things the same way. But if it is non-scientific writing, you may interpret it differently. I may interpret it differently. I'll give you one example what we have already discussed. In India, majority of the people are suffering from diabetes mellitus. It's a very non-scientific statement, because the interpretation by reading this sentence, majority people in India are suffering from diabetes mellitus. What is this majority? 20%, 30%, 40%? What is that? So different people will interpret it differently. Because of that, the scientific gist in that, the scientific intensity in that is completely gone. But if we speak that 12% of people in India, those who are 20 years and above, are suffering from diabetes mellitus. So this makes whether the way you interpret, the way I interpret, it will give us the same level of technical knowledge and same level of understanding. And that is the power of scientific writing. And scientific writing, that's why many of the journals, they decline in accepting anything is only one reason. 90% of the reason is that the statements are very generic. So the interpretation to different level, and they do one thing, when they send the articles for review, if they find different people interpret it differently, then there itself they decline for accepting this paper, because it doesn't communicate same language across different uh, groups of people who will be reading it. So please keep a lots of attention to each and every sentence you are making or writing, whether it is communicating exactly the same meaning what you try to communicate, or different people, it doesn't make different level of information. So because of that, language becomes very important. Always keep it in mind. Try to, if you are writing something about your publication or preparing for a publication, make sure 50% of your language is formal and technical, and it avoids ambiguity and interpretation. Whoever reads makes the same kind of meaning out of that when they read it. So in Plaster, second component, which is language component, this is the three important things, and that makes the scientific writing different than the non-scientific writing. Then come to the third component of Plaster framework is the audience. Now, for audience, primary audience are the researchers and peers. You do not expect people who are reading the fictions and self-help books, they will go and read a scientific article which you are going to publish in a scientific journal. It will be definitely read by the similar kind of researchers who are doing research the way you are also doing research. And most of the time, we do not take into account if I have written something, I am going to publish it, who are the people who are going to read it? If you are working in endocrinology, for example, then all the diabetic specialists, all the endocrinologists are going to read it. And as researchers, are we giving that amount of scientific stuff or scientific insight about endocrinology to a reader? If we are just giving a very, very ordinary set of things meant for endocrinologists, do you think people are going to pick up and read it? So we are missing out the very basic audience for whom we are writing it. We cannot write a diabetes problem to a people who are just, doing the engineering. Never. It will be for only medical audience, or it is the diabetologist. It is for those people who are connected to diabetes. They will be reading it. And they have already got so much of knowledge about diabetes. And if they are just looking for a research article on diabetes, they are expecting something extra, something unknown, something which has not yet been done. They are looking forward to get those things from that article. This is very, very critical. If we are picking up same thing here and there without a logic, without addressing to a problem, not a single person will read that, and nobody will be, therefore will create an impact for us. Second, it contains statistical connotations and arguments. When people who are reading, they do understand what is a t-test, they do understand what is statistical significant, they do understand what is a chi-square test, they do understand all the statistical related things. And when we consider, I have to write that it is statistical significance, then only my audience will understand, we are mistaken quite a lot. If we just write in bracket P is less than 0.005, the audience is understanding what does that mean. We need not write it is statistical significant at 95% confidence level of interval. We need not write, believe me. And if you feel that somebody doesn't understand this 95% confidence level of confidence and statistical significance, that's why we have to repeat in our paper. We are mistaken in a big, big way. Okay, so please do not consider that my audience will not understand. They understand it very, very well. But in non-scientific writing, they will be writing quite ornamental words, rhyming words, all these things. But here, it's a very, very structured writing process. So even if we are trying to communicate it is statistical significant, we should not write. There is a way to write it, that we make a statement. Okay, in that statement, if we say that it is statistical significance, we simply, and we write unnecessary. I have seen many of the researchers, they make the same mistake again and again just to show others, I know statistics. Your audience is more than brilliance to understand that much, at least statistics. That's why they're reading it. For example, if we make a statement, we have done something, let's say PCOD, for example, Shweta Mam's research in about PCOD. We say that people who follow certain kind of uh, stress management techniques, their hormonal balance is better than those who are not following it. Now, you have to simply write a statement. In the study finding, it was noted that people following stress management techniques for last 2 months have 20% better hormonal balance in their symptoms as compared to those who are not following any stress management technique. Then bracket you write P less than 0.05. That's all. You need not write one more sentence saying that it is statistical significant, because you are saying it is 95% or at 5% level of error, it is statistical significant as 95% confidence interval. Automatically, it shows one number in a bracket that makes the story and statistical significance everything clear. You need not write 5 sentences for that purpose. Then the audience expects to use the content for professional development. Please remember this. Please remember this. And when somebody reads something we write or something, if you have gone through all my class notes as a part of this, what is being distributed, what is being available to you as a complimentary reading, you can find each and every word is there put up. It's of use full for you as a professional to write the scientific writing. So similarly, if you are doing any research, it means you are privileged, you are creating certain information, you are creating certain content which will help to some healthcare professional for professional development of their the thing they do work. We are not doing research for, yes, that is a doctoral degree, we are getting certain things, but if that is not helping to my fellow healthcare professionals, then the research doesn't have any meaning. And people who are reading our work, they expect certain development of their end. For example, if Shweta ma'am tomorrow is working out a different bundling of services to manage PCOD effectively, then what will happen? Some of the people who are working or wellness centers, they will be following that as a kind of intervention to manage their patients whom they are providing lots of support. But if that is not happening, then we are not bringing something new to them. Then writing scientifically doesn't make any sense at all. So please keep this in mind. Always keep who are your audience for whom we are doing all the research. Then writing of that will be helping them professionally and they will be getting something out of that. So this is the audience is very, very important component while we do our scientific writing, so that we can directly keep their requirement in our mind while we write anything as a part of our scientific writing for publication. Then next comes our structure. Fourth component of Plaster framework is the structure. And science and scientific writing or any scientific work is always based on certain structure. So when we write, you come to know that we'll be discussing going further that whether we write as a original research article or we write as a review paper, we must follow a structure. Without structure, we cannot put all of our thoughts very, very formal way so that people can read it. Why there is a structure? Because people, they have got a preconceived notion in their mind if they are reading a kind of literature review or a review paper, review article, or an original article, they have certain things, certain preconceived thoughts in their mind what they are going to get. And if it is not available in a particular format, then they completely lose interest out of that. So when you can see a scientific article, versus a non-scientific article, you can see there is a standard format of writing in the case of scientific writing, whereas in non-scientific writing, there are no format. They start with a very absurd format or any prologue, anything they start, and they end with a kind of entertainment, persuasion, something of that kind. But scientific articles, they very strongly follow a strong format. If you look the science work or scientific articles, most common format we use is called IMRAD, or it's a short form for introduction, methods, results, and discussion. So this is IMRAD or IMRAD is the format which says that anything we write in the scientific article for publication, it starts with an introduction. Then it starts with various method, which method we use to write this article or did that scientific work, and results, what results we have got, and after that results we have got, how we are putting up that result for the benefit of the community in the form of a discussion. So that's the formal format we follow either for original research article or for the review article, but details we'll discuss going further in details. But in non-scientific writing, the writer decides how to write it. It could be, starting with a story, giving a different justification. One story leads to another story. So different way it goes. So it is absolutely, there is no format in it. Then logical flow and reproductivity, producibility is given higher importance in that. Logical flow, because this IMRAD we follow, it's a logical flow. We understand in introduction what's the problem, to solve that problem, what method we follow, what did we get, and how it is useful. So all these things goes in a logical flow, because of one reason that we can reproduce these kind of things with keeping one idea, and we can keep on getting the results in that particular format again and again. It will be easy. Imagine if there is no format available for writing your scientific work, then how difficult it would be, and how difficult it would be for the readers to comprehend those things that you are just writing as a scientific writer. So in case of non-scientific writing, there is no intent of reproducing those work again. So one piece of uh, imaginary work or creative work is done, then there is no point anybody can reproduce that. But in case of scientific work, same thing may not be reproduced, but similar format or writing in the similar format is reproducible very well. Then fifth one is coming the tone. Tone of our writing is very important, because once you read certain things, you can feel a tone in which the whole content is written. And tone, important tone here in scientific writing is neutrality and objectivity. There's nothing called emotional or persuasiveness tone in scientific writing we write. As I said, non-scientific writing is multicolor, is a 7 color things, which is lots of emotion attached to that. But scientific writing deals with black and white. It is either yes or no, and it maintains the neutrality. You cannot say that a scientific writing you are showing little bit of biasness into certain results, because if numbers are there, facts and figures are there, if objectivity is there, there is no question of biasness into that. Then it promotes the non-biased and factual statements all the time. So all the tones are based on neutrality, but it is always biased in non-scientific writing. Then it is very solid in its approach. Solid means if you are making a statement, as we have understood in our presentation mode, we stand to the scrutiny. We are very, very strong in our argument ways. If numbers are there, if numbers are understood quite well, then any amount of argument you can withstand. But if it is just based on simple logic, a kind of simple your own opinion, own subjectiveness, then we do not stand to the scrutiny, and very often we have seen during defense people are not able to defend that because of lack of logic, lack of evidence, and lack of facts and figures. So for you as a researcher, all the time be neutral. You are not in favor of something or in against something. You are taking a set of numbers. Based on that, you are making your judgment based on that number, not on the study population, not on the study location, or not on the study geography. So this is the tone of the scientific writing. It should be neutral and objective based. Then moving further, the sixth component of Plaster framework is the evidence. And evidence is everything in scientific writing. If evidences are not there, scientific writing will not exist at all. So each statement is backed by evidence. So people always say, uh, one of my previous mentor was there, is done fantastic in community medicine as well as geriatric medicine. He always says one thing to me, that if you are making a statement, either this statement is made by you, so you have enough evidence to show to make sure that your statement is correct, or you have borrowed the statement from somebody who has done that work. So apart from that, don't use any other statement. So based on that, so anything, so as a researcher, please develop that habit of making any statement should be backed by certain evidence. Then each claim and argument is based on certain statistics and literature. Either we write that introduction part or we write that discussion part, it must be backed by that statistics and literature of other research which has already been done. Then it promotes objectivity. Uh, Research doesn't promote any subjectivity. It talks about objectivity. It measures everything. That's why measurement of anything is one of the prime objective of research. Certain researchers, they try to measure something which are non-measurable. So the whole idea is that they try to create evidence, and if something which cannot be measured, you cannot create evidence around that. So this is the evidence, is the sixth component. And finally, the reference, the seventh component of Plaster framework, is the reference. So since each and every statement we are making based on certain things or certain evidence, those evidence has to be referred in your document. As I said, uh, as I said in the beginning, that based on we are making a statement, it should be accessible. People should able to access that statement based on which you are making that uh, judgment or you are making that statement. And reference are the scientific way to give the readers the access from where they can cross check the argument or the evidence you are bringing into your scientific writing. So any evidence, it's a full of evidence, then your article or your scientific document should be full of references. So references is the bibliography or something, a list of something which will give the readers to check if this is already uh, access is given or the right source is mentioned or not. Then it's a structured format are used for referencing. While we'll talk about referencing maybe tomorrow, we'll talk about various referencing styles and how this referencing can be done. But scientific writing always carries that referencing in it. Then views expressed in your scientific writing connected to certain studies and conferences. So anything you are making a part of your statement, it is based on certain things. As you said that you have listened in some conferences, if the uh, uh, conference proceedings are not there, you simply cannot make that as a reference point because people will not be having access to check whether in what conference and who is the speaker who made this statement. And if it is not available, then this reference is invalid. So all the references must be traceable, all the references must be accessible, and all the reference must be from a genuine source. Then only it comes as a part of your reference of your scientific work. So this cluster framework is a very, very important framework which defines what are the 7 things you must keep lots of attention while you write your uh, scientific work or publication. Then uh, that work will be definitely very, 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 very valid in terms of acceptance by the scientific community. And sooner you will be a very good writer and you can publish quite a lot of uh, uh, value added work which can take care of lots of problem in which you are just doing your research.